Now, who am I? Who is Donald Kim, BSc, MBA, PMP, and what do those acronyms BSc, MBA, PMP stand for? I'm going to go into that and much more in this video, so stay tuned. Everyone, my name is Donald, and in this video I'm going to give you guys a bit of an introduction about myself so then you guys can get to know more about me, and hopefully we can create more of a connection between myself and you guys. For those new to my channel, my name is Donald, and I'm an entrepreneur and investor, and I'm truly passionate about pursuing my mission today, which is to optimize for health, wealth, and happiness. Before I get going on my video, if you find this video helpful in any way, it'd really help a lot if you guys could subscribe to my channel, and if you find any value, like I said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that said, let's get back to the video. So who am I? My name, Donald Kim, and usually I put the acronyms BSc and MBA and PMP beside my name in my professional kind of title. So BSc stands for Bachelor of Science. Reason being is because I finished my bachelor's degree in sciences, which is a degree concentrated in molecular biology and biochemistry. And yes, I was a science kid. I really enjoyed chemistry, physics, biology, math, and these are things that I was passionate about. I'm fortunate that I was able to finish at quite a reputable university locally here in Vancouver, and I was able to kind of have a career in biotechnology and pharmaceutical industry as a research scientist. So I actually was able to utilize the things that I've learned in school and apply them to the real world. I'll get more into kind of my career path later in this video, but that's the BSc part. The MBA is Master's in Business Administration degree. I finished with a MBA as I pivoted from sciences to business. I later then did a PMP designation, a project management professional designation. And typically it's engineers, that typically do this type of, designation. I wanted to be distinct amongst others, that it enabled me to kind of portray my knowledge of managing large projects from end to end, in a very systematic manner, and which is important because as you're managing projects, you want to, have things like the project scope, the team, the communications, the budget, and the deliverables and risk management, things like that. You want to have them all in check, and so I decided to do a PMP exam designation. The exam, I would say, is pretty hard in my standards, I would say, but luckily I was able to pass on my first attempt. So with that said, so that's the acronym and name part of my name, right? And so, a lot of my kind of online presence, including LinkedIn, will have Donald Kim, comma, BSc, comma, MBA, comma, PMP. I decided to do that so then it would distinguish myself as, a unique Donald Kim, right? So kind of, as I alluded to earlier, I was able to pivot from the world of sciences to business, and today I'm, an entrepreneur. I have several businesses and am an investor, and I think that hopefully I can give back by providing you guys with some knowledge of what I learned throughout my journey and experiences, right? So I'm a kid of immigrant parents from South Korea, and I was born here in Canada, and being kids of immigrant parents, who I had seen growing up working extremely hard, really valued education and higher education, and so studying and getting a degree was kind of the ticket to being able to do better than they had done, and so, I truly valued higher education. I still do, in today's world, you do hear of cases where people are able to attain jobs and roles without a degree these days. However, I think that depending on what you're going for and what you want to do ultimately, it could actually provide you with a lot of value in your life. Things that I felt that were instrumental in my growth and being able to learn new skills such as, deep analytical skills, working with a team, managing projects, managing my timelines and the day, prioritizing, work in school, things like that. It's time management. These are all things that I had learned, while in university, and also I gained lifelong friends, along the way, right? And so the camaraderie and friendship, right? And so I think that I'm glad that I had experience that I had that part of my life. With anything, it really depends on what you do with your experience, which will determine your kind of path to success. Be it that, if you were to just go to class and, don't really apply yourself in other aspects or try to find work that's relevant, to your field, then, it could be harder to achieve a certain level of success. And so I think that having that mindset of, always try to get as much out of that experience as possible is the right way to go about it, right? So what you always kind of have to think about, like, what are the next steps to take you to the, next level where you want to get to, right? So, manifesting, if you're religious, prayer is also important. It's just kind of visualizing, where you want to go, with your life. Well, it can give you a lot of motivation and passion to pursue things that will ultimately get you to where you want to get to, right? And be it professionally or, success or money wise, things like that. You want to be able to, have a positive mindset, and, not every day will be easy and good. In fact, especially if you're starting a business, it's very tough. It requires a lot of hard work, dedication, grit, hustle, grinding, all that good stuff, right? And so, but if you stick to it and, you take the right steps and it's good timing, a lot of factors come into play when it comes to success. But if you, take a very strategic approach and learn, fail fast, learn, iterate, and grow, those are the things that will matter when it comes to really, furthering yourself career-wise or business-wise, right? So going back to my educational journey, I went to Simon Fraser University, SFU, which is a school up in Canada, and it's ranked usually pretty high with respect to, best comprehensive university in Canada. And so it's grown quite a bit actually since I had done my undergrad. But I worked very hard to get myself through all the courses. It was highly technical, from calculus to quantum physics, atmospheric chemistry, inorganic, organic chemistry, genetics. I would say biochemistry is one of the toughest programs to do, and luckily I was able to finish with it. And I did find it very challenging, but I was able to complete it. And during that time period, I did have some jobs. I'll also try to explain my kind of career path and jobs that I had along the way, kind of mixed in with my schooling, right? And so I had worked as a teenager as a kind of a cook at McDonald's. I thought it was great training. I mean, it's a massive company, and so I think that it's a great learning experience. I mean, I think I was getting paid $7 an hour, something like that. I don't want to date myself too much, but yeah, it wasn't the greatest pay, of course, but you did learn discipline. You learn about structure, and they had systems in place and a lot of safety, and corporate training, right? And so it was good experience from that regard, especially as a young person, right? And so I also had a job selling paper kind of subscriptions to the local newspaper, going door to door. I remember it being very hot summer days doing that, and I think it was a really good experience because it really, as kind of a kid who was, traditionally kind of more introverted growing up, it really kind of helped me step outside my comfort zone, and I had to be outgoing in a way to be able to sell subscriptions, right? And so I had some good fond memories of that. When I was in university, I also had gigs in a graphic designing company, and so I worked with a few other graphic designers to kind of use computer programs and graphic programs to get decals and vinyl to size and spec to print off and apply to trucks and commercial vehicles. And it was a really good experience because it enabled me to utilize a creative side. I really enjoyed art and drawing, this and that, kind of growing up, and so it was cool to actually apply my skills at a more technical level. It's obviously very different from sciences, but I was exploring different things, and I think that's what it should be also about as well. I wasn't sold on the idea that I wanted to actually work in the lab, but I wasn't sure yet, right? And so I just wanted to see what else was out there. I think that's important to do as you're a young kid, right? And so I also worked at a manufacturing job. The founder actually kind of devised this technology to create manholes out of fiberglass. It was a very blue collar job. It was very intensive, heavy lifting. It's quite dangerous actually, utilizing a lot of the tools, and I actually got injured on the job a few times, but yeah, it enabled me to understand that I felt strongly that kind of work was not really for me, but I'm definitely thankful for the experience because it enabled me to become humble and have had a bit more clarity in terms of what I wanted to do. I also worked for a financial company and got licensed, and that was a really good experience because I was able to learn more about the business side. After finishing my degree in biochemistry and molecular biology and biochemistry, I actually worked first at a large university called UBC, University of British Columbia. It was an office job. I found that at the time, it was really hard to find work in the science field at that time without like co-op or tangible lab experience, and so the economy wasn't that great at that time, and so I would say that I think that I did that office job for a good half a year to probably about a year, and it was more kind of like clerical and accounting bookkeeping type experience that I got from there, and I started to get interested in more into business, right? And so but I wanted to also explore sciences since that's what I went to school for many years for, right? And so if you think about it, I mean, I was studying sciences for a long time because not only in post-secondary education but also in high school, right? And so in any case, I worked for a CRO, a contract research organization, and so basically we did a lot of analytical testing for a variety of kind of big contracts, government contracts, engineering contracts, and it was a good experience from that perspective. I used really cool instrumentations called GCMS, gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, and I was able to also take on a role as a mobile analyst, and so I got to travel kind of mostly within the BC area, like Vancouver Island and whatnot too, and I was able to visit places where I probably would not have visited without that job, and so I drove all the way to Port McNeill, Parksville, for instance, and had to stay at those locations for months on end, and so it was really, really exciting being able to travel and work at the same time, and so but it was definitely a lot of hard work, right? So then I felt that I wanted to do more kind of like drug research, like pharmaceutical research, and so I was able to pivot, use the skills I learned from that company to go to a pharmaceutical kind of a startup, but they were doing really well in terms of the research, and so at the time we had some really promising data with respect to FDA approval, and so I believe that we had completed clinical trials 1, and I believe that we're kind of going to clinical trials 2. And usually you get to the third and fourth phases, but it's very expensive to get to that point because it requires more higher level testing, and you need to start thinking about, if it does get approved ultimately by FDA, you need a strong commercialization team, right? And so at that point, a lot of small labs that have promising drugs in the pipeline will typically partner with a big biopharma, which we did at the time. We definitely, I think at the time it was one of the largest biotechnology deals in Canada history. I think it was like $375 million, which is a massive amount of money. It still is, obviously, right, at that time. And so I was there for about 4 years, and then I moved to another company because just through because I wanted to continue to grow as a scientist, but also too, I had wanted to do other type of research, right? And so I moved to another company, and there I felt that I really wanted to, I felt it was very repetitive work still. And so like I said, I was somewhat interested to pivot into business. And so during the tenure of the previous company, I started to take some pre-MBA courses, and it's called the Graduate Diploma in Business Administration, and you take a lot of MBA level courses and graduate level courses to basically get your feet wet with respect to business courses. And so I had done really well. I actually scored almost straight A's, and while working full time doing that program. And then I actually started a nonprofit society, did a lot of work with the BC Children's Hospital. And so that's probably one of the very first startups that I actually started myself. I had to register the business, get together, put together a board of directors, and have annual general meetings. I had to learn about how to, hire an accountant to do our finances, our annual reports, things like that. And so it was a really good experience. It was really awesome. I really loved, to be able to give back. I did a lot of volunteer work when I was in university. A lot of science students will, a lot of them will think about wanting to do medical school, and one of the criteria is actually do volunteer work at hospitals. And so I'm glad I was able to do that nonprofit society, because it enabled me to kind of continue on that type of work, right? So after that role, I wanted to get more of a business type role, and so I actually got hired into a market research analyst position, and I was quite good at it actually. And I actually was promoted to a senior market research analyst. We specialize in medical device markets, and so still kind of pigeonholed into the science world of sciences, but it was a really good experience from that perspective, being able to put together a list of contacts and do primary research, secondary research, and financial modeling. So it was a really awesome experience, right? And learning about market segmentations, modeling market value size, and CAGR values, things like that. So it was a really, really, really cool experience. I would also say that, from that time period, I started to really want to either do business kind of further in school, like an MBA, or accounting actually. So I realized that a lot of working at these companies, a lot of the companies that I worked at, CFOs sometimes would actually have science backgrounds, and they just went back to school to take some accounting core courses to get accepted into a CPA program, and then where you can actually work throughout the modules to get your CPA. And I actually did a semester at UBC for a program for that, and I realized it wasn't for me, and I decided at that point for sure MBA was the route that I wanted to take, right? And so fast forward, I had gone into MBA school, and then I wanted to kind of pivot away from market analyst position role, because I realized that it was really tough because I had to really change my sleep patterns on the fly all the time. So if I was analyzing the US markets as regular, kind of 9 to 5, if I was working the Asia Pacific markets, then it's usually like what is it, afternoon to early morning, and then European markets was like midnight to like 9 a.m. And so I had to switch my, my sleep patterns quite quickly. And so it was quite hard on the body. And I felt that it would be hard to manage that with MBA school. And so I should mention also too, while I was a research scientist, I was able to get promoted to kind of the various levels up as a market research, as a research scientist. And so, I was always kind of moving up the ranks. And I worked very, very hard. I really was, passionate about the work, and I took my work very seriously. And so, kind of fast forward, as mentioned, I was somewhat pigeonholed into the world of biotech, and I wanted to be able to pivot out. And I felt that doing my MBA program, that would be my ticket to do so. I really wanted to pivot more into the tech space because it started to become more of an emergent thing here in BC, British Columbia, Canada. And so, but I wanted to pick up a skill that I was not strong in. And I felt that it was really important if I were to want to start my own company or just do well in business in general. Sales is definitely one of those things that I really wanted to improve on. I can recall one of the very first days on my MBA school program that we're all kind of together, and we kind of separate into groups, and we had to present to the whole kind of cohort. And I remember at the time I wasn't the strongest with respect to kind of public speaking. And so I can recall one guy in my class, he was just amazing, like such a natural, just so comfortable, right? And I believe that just comes on through like experience, and I asked what he did, and he told me he's in he's in tech sales, and he does really, really well, right? And so I'm like, I need to do that. And so I actually searched for a sales role and work for a in sales and somewhat marketing as well in the biotechnology field, right? And so we were selling into large biotechnology, biopharma companies, clients. Basically, my territory was the East Coast of U.S. and also massive, research schools at higher, universities. And so, Boston, schools in Boston, and kind of all throughout the East Coast of the U.S. And so, I actually became the top seller, the top producer. It got so big that we actually had to hire more staff and help kind of take some of my kind of clients to help ease of that. And so, I kind of made a name for myself, which is pretty awesome. And I remember being very, had good relationship with the CEO of the company, and I realized that he was pretty happy, right? He had a good family life, and he definitely reached a certain level of success. He had an amazing mansion, massive, and so I can definitely see that it gave him a certain level of happiness and freedom. And so that's something that I definitely start to aspire to and start thinking about hopefully attaining in the future, right? So I actually was able to get into a tech company through my mentor in my MBA program, and it was a tech startup. I worked directly under the VP of Sales and Marketing, the CMO, and the marketing team as well, and a really great experience all around. And so, I learned everything from the demand gen, to digital marketing, to things like that. And so, even tech sales and working CRMs, working leads, nurturing them, things like that. Really great experience. And so I finished my MBA program, and then, which was an amazing experience all around. I just had such a transformational experience, and I think that anybody who thinks about doing it, it depends on what you want to do with it. Ultimately, it will dictate which school you want to go to, which type of school, and which type of program, concentrated program you want to do. But for me, I definitely wanted to go to this particular school because it was close by, and I was able to work full time, and so there was no opportunity cost by having to quit my work while doing school. Definitely challenging, I had to figure out how to maximize my day, and so, but it was very transformative. Not sure why it's so difficult saying that word, but it was very transformational for me because it enabled me to grow and really excel and push myself to the absolute limit of my capabilities. And so, yeah, I actually got headhunted to a company where I was brought on as a VP of sales and marketing. And so, yeah, as you can see the progression that I was able to attain within my career, professional career, and worked there for a bit. And then, after that, I started to really pursue my main hustle, which is, SEO and some graphic design work. But before that, I should actually mention that, I'm very passionate about health and fitness, as you'll learn to find. I actually got certified in a ton of personal training certifications, diet, nutrition, you know, bodybuilding contest prep certifications, and first aid and all that stuff. And I actually worked as a personal trainer for a bit while in MBA school as well. So I learned how to promote myself, build up somewhat of a personal brand within fitness, social media marketing, things like that. And so, as you can see, there was a progression in terms of my, learnings and experiences to get to where I'm ultimately at now. And so the practice that I decided to start was an SEO agency, and then that's slowly but surely quickly grew into a full digital marketing agency. It was really exciting. I felt that I got in at the perfect time. Now I would say there's a lot of, incumbents that, it may be a little bit more challenging to get into the market, but I definitely got into a good place to the point where I had a good reputation built up, as well as a pretty good portfolio, which are important within the agency world, right? And so, yeah, I was able to build that up, and so I still run it today, and I absolutely am passionate about all things marketing and digital marketing. And from that point, I was able to also create a bit of freedom time, and I got really good at kind of managing my time accordingly, and that I was able to build up an e-commerce brand as well. I also got into investing, and yeah, it's just been a pretty amazing ride. Now I'm at a point where I want to hopefully give back. I'm definitely older, that I want to make a positive impact on the world, right? So which is kind of the point, with these YouTube videos now. I'm the type of person that becomes super obsessed with things that I'm passionate about, and I go really deep to learn as much as I can in research. And so, hopefully I can give you guys some guidance along the way, and provide anybody who's also motivated and interested to do something similar. Then hopefully I can be a source of inspiration for you guys as well. And in the past, I didn't have much direction in the type of content that I created on my channel, as you can see if you look back at some other videos. And now I have a bit more idea of how I want to structure it. I think that I want to pursue just talking about my main kind of passions and my mission in life, which is to optimize my life for health, wealth, and happiness. And hopefully you guys can learn a lot along the way as well. So on the wealth side of the trifecta, I built up several businesses, and I'm quite involved with investing. I'm always learning as well. I'm a huge proponent of personal growth, development, and growth mindset, reading books, learning as much as I can, taking courses, and I really believe that it's important to take, things that, courses that will help you level up in life, learn high income skills, things like that. It's super important. And so there's definitely a lot to learn. There's a lot of information out there, but if you can find a way to package that in a very organized way to actually learn and also take action, right? Those are the really important aspects. And so hopefully I can convey a lot of these things of the trifecta through my videos, and also maybe even through vlogs as well, right? So with respect to health, I'm a huge proponent of health and fitness, eating healthy, eating superfoods. I really got into bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, and powerlifting early on. I've been working out for about 15 years. Cardio is a big part of my regimen now. I eat a lot of healthy foods and superfoods. I'm a huge proponent of, maintaining mental strength, mental health, brain strength, finding ways to improve longevity and your energy. And this year, actually, I've invested quite a bit in terms of my health, and so I try to make it a mandate to find ways to optimize myself. And so as I get older, there's definitely a lot more maintaining that I need to do. And so, I've done things like, Zoom whiten teeth whitening, LASIK eye surgery. I have Invisalign now, which I started recently, and I had some treatment with my skin, and I think that it's important to continually improve your health. Find ways to do that, and the things that are kind of superficial, like if it helps you improve your confidence, that's also a good thing too, right? And so if you're more presentable, things like that, right? And so hopefully I can give you guys a lot of insights of kind of my thought process of why I decided to do some of those procedures, and what was my process in terms of the research, and what was the outcome, and would I do it again, things like that, right? And finally, the third part of the trifecta is happiness. And so I'm a huge proponent of being able to enjoy your life now when you're younger, rather than wait and save until your retirement age. I think that is important to enjoy life while you're youthful, full of energy, and when you can actually enjoy these things, right? And so I'm a huge proponent of, like I said, working out. I love the outdoors. I love going for walks, hikes, traveling. I enjoy eating good foods. I'm a foodie. I enjoy learning new things with respect to music. I'm learning the piano, guitar, now drums, and also DJing. And yeah, I love watching great movies, Netflix, TV shows, all that good stuff. And so yeah, I am a huge proponent of those things, and so hopefully I can convey. So yeah, that's a bit more about me, and hopefully this gave you guys a bit more insights in terms of who I am. And if you found this video helpful, and if you find the content about the pursuit of happiness, health and wealth, definitely feel free to subscribe to my channel, like, comment, subscribe, engage with my content. I'm also on many of the other social media platforms as well, but I'll definitely be putting a lot of time and effort into hopefully growing my YouTube channel further, right? So if you like this video, please feel free to check out my other videos in health, wealth, and happiness. Until next time, take care everybody. Bye now.